Hi there, it's Aaron from RatingTheRaces here, and today we're going to have a quick look at TipStats. And this isn't ProStats. You've probably seen us harping on a little bit on social media about ProStats and what that's doing currently for our professional level members. It is definitely revolutionising the way they're using the ratings. But the same analytics engine that we've used to generate ProStats is the same one that we actually use on TipStats. So every improvement we've been making to ProStats has also improved TipStats. And for those who are premium or professional level members, TipStats Plus. So essentially, when we look at our NAP competitions or our selections, that would all come under TipStats. And for premium professional, they get extra functionality, and I'll show you what that looks like. But even the free users get quite a lot of functionality in this, and it's really, really useful when you start to look at bigger data sets. So what I've done here is I'm actually emulating one of our current users who's played in the NAP comp. They are the top free member in the all-time leaderboard. I think out of the top 5 in the all-time leaderboard, only one of them isn't a premium or professional level member. At least that's the current status of it. And I've chosen the one who is a free member because I feel that that's more representative of the majority of people that play in the NAP comp. And I just wanted to demonstrate to our free members what they can get out of TipStats here and now to help them improve their betting, because that's the whole point of it, is that you can play the game, keep playing the competition, and then you can go back and look at your data and you can see how you've been doing. Now, this particular user, I will blank out their username, but this particular user has done very well considering they're not a premium or professional level member. And when we look at the stuff within TipStats, we can basically slice and dice their data and dissect it. Okay, so for those of you that haven't found it before, TipStats lives under the Tools section. And you can just simply click on TipStats and you will see that when we go in here, all these table filters and data filters, they're all features for premium and professional level members on RatingTheRaces. But for free members, you can still use the group by function, which is still pretty powerful, but you can't do everything. And I'll show you the difference between the two in terms of real world application. So you can see, first and foremost, looking at this user, they have got pretty damn good data, 35% ROI to XSP, and more impressively, they've got it absolutely spot on with regards to their NAP having the highest ROI, their next best having the second highest, and their reserve having the lowest. That could be lucky, it could not be lucky, not sure. But either way, kudos to this player. So just to show you how the grouping works, the grouping works by clicking this pick type on. This is our group by functionality. And essentially everything that we can filter on, including things that are premium features like RTO rank, AV3 rank, AV10 rank, etc. Everything that we can filter on is available as a group by. So for instance, we're just giving an example of how this could work. We can look at by course, and now we're actually looking at all of that NAP data for this user by different courses. So we could find out that there were a particular subset of courses that they do significantly better at. Probably more useful than something like course, because generally you can see we're pretty much dealing with low data sets, would be something like race type. Race type's normally quite a good one, and you may find that you're significantly better on the all-weather flat, for instance, compared to the national hunt flat, and that's actually quite a common trend, actually. You see a lot of people who do better on any of the other race types other than national hunt flat races. I suspect there are some specialists out there who target the national hunt flat, but it always seems to be quite difficult to have a really good profitable profile in the national hunt flat. At least that's what I've seen when I've been looking at users' profiles. So instantly we could apply a filter to his data if we were using ProStats Plus. And what I'll do is I'll actually upgrade this person in a moment. And we'll have a look at it from the perspective of ProStats Plus and implement these filters. So we could remove National Hunt Flat, and I would be suggesting to this person that they could definitely ignore National Hunt Flat because it's not their strong suit. At least that's what we're seeing from a relatively small data set, but still that is definitely what we're seeing here. What else could we do? I had a look at some of these other ones earlier, and they were actually doing pretty good. And it seems It's currently sorted by profit and loss. Let's just quickly change that to sorted by XSP rank. It's very strange to see users who are profitable in this first bracket here. That's another thing that's rare to see. Whoever this user is, when they're picking out a favourite, they are doing extremely well, and so much so they're actually profitable, which is crazy. Honestly, the number of people that are negative on this first row between the odds of 1.00 and 2.94, which is just some arbitrary odds range that we've created, is very, very high indeed. And we normally find that most of the profit tends to come sort of down this sort of area. But yeah, this person is profitable in this short odds bracket. And what they can do, even as a free member, is you can actually plot all of these as graphs as well, if you're interested in seeing what those graphs look like for particular rows within your data table, or across your entire data table using the all row. So there's no real filters that I would be applying to him from a perspective of odds. And I'm saying him, I don't know if it's a him or a her, to be honest. I wouldn't be applying any filters, even though you're seeing a few here that are negative. They are surrounded by green ones as well, and they're from very small data sets. So keep going on that front. There's nothing to change there. XSP rank. So this is whether they're favourite or not. So this is exchange starting price rank. Yep, do pretty good with the favourites, pretty good with second favourites, third favourites, and so on. No real filters that I'd be implementing there to improve this person's ability to play the competition. Value percent, this is again using an RTR proprietary feature, and this person again seems to be ahead of the value percent. I don't know if they've got, I know everyone talks about inside knowledge. It's definitely something that here at Rating the Races we never like to listen to what we hear as inside knowledge, because quite often we find that it's not always that valuable. Distance in furlongs, let's have a quick look. Just seeing if there's some sort of trend here. If this page was significantly red, we could have implemented a filter saying, they've got to be less than 20 furlongs for them runners to count. But you can see down here we've got 17.14 profit in there, which is kind of throwing us a bit of a curveball, because that 17.14 would wipe out all of the negatives above it. So there's nothing to be implemented from a filter perspective on distance. Perhaps this was actually a bad person to choose, but hey-ho. Going, there doesn't appear to be a significant trend here. Soft to heavy. Yeah, but they've done alright on heavy, and it's a small data set for soft to heavy, and it's a small negative for soft. I wouldn't be implementing any filters on going either. Age range. Okay, this one's actually quite interesting, because a few of these age ranges here are quite typical of handicap versus non-handicap. I wonder if that one's going to be a useful one for us. I'll quickly do surface before we get to that. Nope, there's nothing to dig into on surface. Handicap versus non-handicap. Okay, so non-handicap is profitable, but only just from a lot of runners. This person here might be far better focusing their attention on their handicaps. So right now, the two filters that I would be implementing would be only keep handicaps and remove National Hunt Flat races. So we'd apply those two filters. Try and remember that. I wouldn't implement any runner, trainer, or jockey filters, because that would be too specific. Same with sire. We could look at a field size filter. Okay, we might have one that's interesting here. Again, we've got a bit of a curveball with this one runner down here. It looks like this user seems to do better generally in your average size races, your 8s, your 9s, etc. If they hadn't had that winner there, we would be telling them to stick to what they're good at, which is the smaller or kind of medium-sized fields. But they do have one decent winner down here, which is giving them a half-decent profit. And that would mean that I wouldn't be implementing any filters on a field size perspective for this user at this moment. Sex, I very much doubt that's useful here. Sex is normally useful. Okay. Sex is normally useful when you're doing some sort of pedigree analysis, or if you're seeing how a trainer does with a particular sex, things like that. That can be quite interesting. And that's normally something that's used more prolifically by pro stats users. But here we actually do have something. perhaps it's worth dropping every horse that's a filly and a mare. So drop a filly, drop the mares, drop non-handicaps, and the other one was drop National Hunt flat races as some filters. And go for age. We'll have a look, see if there's anything interesting. 2-year-old is probably strongly related to the fact that they're not overly profitable non-handicaps. And 0 from 3 is too small a data set really for us to dig into it at all for horses that are older than 12. It's probably not a bad idea to stay away from horses that are over 12. But we don't have a big enough data set to say that this user should definitely do that. Days off. Number of days off the course. No huge trend here. It is interesting to see that they've picked 8 horses that have had less than 2 days off. And we have actually modelled this previously. It's something that's implemented in the RTR ratings algorithm. I believe it was 28 days or 26 days or something that the algorithm knows, which was the optimal amount of time off for a racehorse. Any longer and they're starting to be not quite as race fit again, and any less than they're still showing signs of fatigue from the last race potentially. And obviously that's all dependent on a horse-by-horse basis, course-by-course basis, and probably a distance basis as well. But that's definitely something that the algorithm takes into account currently for the RTR ranking. So we could drop that, but it's not a big enough negative P&L for us to actually really dig into it. Horses dropping in class or not? Okay, no, nothing huge, no big data sets that I would definitely be taking out. Class of races generally. We could drop class 6 races. I'm just going to have to start making a note of this now. So we've done class. RTR rank. Let's see how this person does with different RTR ranks. Okay. So I hadn't been through this previously. I just picked him because he's the top free member. And looking at this, it's quite clear that we should drop RTR 7 and above. I mean, at the end of the day, I know these are actually small data sets, but the ratings do pretty good. And you can see that when he agrees with top rated, it's got 51.54 strike rate, which is crazy. It's actually a really, really good strike rate. So I have no idea who this person is and how they're doing as well as they are. Whether they're doing absolutely loads of form research, they would definitely benefit from the ratings. So we would be able to say to them, okay, drop everything that is an RTR rank greater than 7. On to the next one, we've got AV3 rank. Now AV3 rank is actually, it's another ranking system in the ratings, and it refers to the average of their performance in their last 3 runs. So there might be a trend here that's useful. Perhaps we would say that everything, again, be looking for anything lower than RTR rank of 6. So 6, 5, 4, up to 1 that we would keep and lose everything else beneath that. That's probably a fair shout again because this is a pretty good metric. Alright, AV10 rank, which is looking at the last 10 runs. Something relatively similar. I wonder if this is the same horse that keeps throwing the same. Yeah. Who is that? So just showing you another functionality here of the graphing feature is you can actually come into the graph and hover over each of your data points to see who it was. So the horse was Timian. I'll have to look into that one just to find out why that one was such an enigma for the ratings. Yeah, so again, for AV10 rank, I'd be pretty sure that I would be dropping everything that is, again, I would probably go 6 and below because, you know, we've got a 0.33 profit and a 0.91 profit on AV10 rank of 8 and AV10 rank of 7, but that's not high enough to bother keeping. So again, I'd say 6 and above, keep, and lose everything else. We'll just skip over month and year. There's not really any point looking at them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly upgrade this person to a premium account, and they'll get the ratings for free for a week because I'm using their data set. And then I'm going to apply those filters, and we're going to see what changes we can make to this 111.81 profit and loss, and this 37.17 ROI, and this 36.88% strike rate. Now, the idea of this, of course, is that we've looked at all the data, and from going on, we should be able to implement some filters that this would mean that this person would actually be even better than what they are right now. Okay, so this person has now been upgraded to a premium member view. And you'll notice that the table filters and the data filters are now available for them to use. So this is where it gets a little bit interesting, because what I think we're going to be able to do is apply those rules. We just looked through the group by functionality to find kind of areas of weakness with this person's napping profile or tipster profile, whatever you want to call it. And we can apply those as filters to essentially make this person able to filter their own selections and improve their profitability. So the main number that we should always be looking to improve is the ROI. Return on investment is the most important metric in any betting portfolio. It's all very well and good if you've got 200 points profit, but if you stake 20,000 points to get there, it's not really worth very much. So ROI is the most important metric in any betting portfolio. So this is the number that we should be aiming to improve. If we improve the P&L and the strike rate as well, great. But ROI is the main one to focus on. So let's just quickly go through and actually implement those filters. I believe the first filter was that we didn't want to include National Hunt Flats. What we'll do is we'll go to race type. There's a few different ways you can do this using TipStats Plus, and that's what it's called when people have access to the data filters and the table filters. So both our premium and professional level members, they've got access to what's called TipStats Plus, where they've got this functionality as well. So all we're going to do is we'll select the rows that we want to keep and press rows to filters, and it applies them as filters. So that's what we wanted in that respect. We want to remove National Hunt Flat. If we quickly go to by handicap, we said that we wanted to get rid of non-handicap, and we'll stick with that, and we'll keep the handicaps only. It's not actually allowing me to do rows to filters on that one, that's fine, I'll just do it this way. Okay, keeping the handicap, so we have improved the ROI already, I believe it was 35%-ish. We also wanted to remove mares and fillies. So if I quickly go to the sex of the horse, I will go through select colt, gelding, and that's the only two that need to be selected. Keep those two. We're up to 81% ROI. So I believe the next one that we need to do was to remove anything that's class 6 or above. Let's quickly have a look at the class page. The interesting thing about this, looking at this page here, is actually by implementing all those other filters, we've actually turned class 6 into half decent. So I'm not going to implement that filter anymore. You can see that these filters have already made a difference on the profitability and the return on investment on those races that are class 6 or above. So that's great. Next filter we wanted to implement was only keep horses that were RTR rank 6 or lower. So quickly go to RTR rank, and we'll simply come down to this part here, and we'll say that we want them to have a maximum of 6. Add that filter. We're now up to 90% return on investment, and better on the strike rate and better on the profitability as well. We'll do the same thing for AV3 and AV10. We don't even need to go to those pages. We just simply say that we only want to keep them if they're 6 or above, and same for AV10, 6 or above. And basically boom, because we've improved the strike rate by 6% or 7%, I can't quite remember what it was mid-30s. Improved the profit and loss, and we've improved the ROI to above 100%. So we've moved this person's tipping portfolio or tipping capabilities from something that was 35% ROI to 100% ROI. And this won't be the same for every user. In fact, it's actually easier to do, I find, with users who aren't quite as good as this person. Because you can find something that they are good at, and they may not realise that they're actually particularly good in one type of race. They do need to have played the NAP competition a fair amount of time to get any meaningful data. But with this person here, or any other person playing the NAP comp, if they were implementing these filters, what they can do is they can press this today 63. I've already got some selections in there, I'm just going to replace them. And what that's going to do is it's going to add all 63 horses that qualify today for these rules as selections. So that means that when I go through and actually view the web ratings, again, from the perspective of this user, you can see that it's actually highlighted all the rows that are applicable. So they know instantly which horses qualify for those rules. And any that don't, they can rule out. Or they could do it the other way around, where they pick their shortlist manually, whatever method they've already got in place. It's obviously pretty damn good, just to achieve the 35% strike rate. And then they can apply this filter over the top, and then any of those selections that they had in their shortlist that doesn't fit this process and isn't highlighted as a selection, they can remove from their naps. And this is a really great way of improving your ability to go into your own data and see where you perform well. Will really enable you to fine-tune your tipping or your betting or your napping process. And that's really why it's powerful for use for both free members and for premium members with TipStats Plus. So I hope you enjoyed that and that gave you a little bit of an insight in terms of the way that you can use that. Look forward to seeing more of you on the site. Cheers.